married soon, which is very exciting.
18 days, mate. 18 days.
18 days. So good. Exciting, mate. Well done. Well, hey, huge good morning to everyone. Welcome, Business Connect number 70 today. Can you believe we have done 70 of these? And pretty exciting. A few things we'll probably need to work out going forward. We jump into daylight saving again soon, which I know a lot of our Queensland crew have always been up for joining nice and early, but you know, we might just look at how we can, you know, facilitate some stuff there, which will be a lot of fun. But anyway, all conversations we'll have in the next few weeks. But yeah, cool to think we just started. I know I've said this a few times, but we just started by wanting to just do a handful of these right at the outset of COVID, and here we are, 70 Business Connects later. So really cool. Hey, a little bit of I'm going to throw to a couple of people spontaneously. Don't do it every week, do it occasionally. It's always somewhat of a maybe a risk. But I've got to admit, by the way, I obviously hosting these feel pretty comfortable. You know, I don't get nervous if I have to speak or anything. But the other day I got invited just to highlight something at our creative teams. They call it Tribe Tuesday. That had about 100 people online. And I was so nervous. So I was like, oh, it must be how people feel when they're, because often people say to me, sharing at Business Connect, say, oh, I get so nervous, you'll text me afterwards, I was really nervous. I was like, oh, really? Like, it's such a warm, friendly bunch. But I kind of understood how you feel. So I apologize in advance if I've ever made you nervous. But look, I guess call this a little bit of market research. Occasionally, we get people, thank us or appreciate us for putting this on, which is greatly appreciated. But I often say to people, to be honest, it's a little bit selfish because I just try and create, I know for me and for Andrew and others, really just try and create mornings that I know are going to help me. And, it's a good opportunity for me to just clean off a stack of you guys. And that's the honest truth. And over the last 70 of these, I can honestly, personally say my life has become so much better. I run a business. I'm looking to start another business in the process of doing that. I also work for church, so lots going on, and I just need as much help as I can get. You guys help me immensely. So I guess I say all that, I'm not fishing for compliments, more doing market research type feedback. But I was going to throw to some people quickly and just ask over the last, maybe some of the more familiar faces that I know have been coming over the last, number of these, 70, if I didn't mention. What would be sort of one of your, I guess, just sort of throwback, call it a throwback Thursday. What would be your big takeaway, maybe something that stuck with you, something that's really helped you, maybe a theme, could just be a general theme that you've got from these. And sorry to put you on the spot, Jared Medwin, but because we had a great chat last week, I thought I always enjoy chatting to you, and I thought I might just throw to you and ask you, mate. You've been here since day one. What would be, if you wouldn't mind jumping off mute? There we go.
Morning all, how are we?
Very well.
I think, well, the whole allowing iron to sharpen iron, I think, is a great biblical principle, yeah. And I think there's a lot to that we learn from these things. But I think to talk about the throwback, I loved what Kiddo shared a long time ago, actually, about the whole idea of the stretch. And for me, in my season, that's certainly been stretching and challenging as navigating the whole COVID season. I've learned a lot from that message, but also so many of these. So thanks for the part that you play in getting these off the ground for us, mate.
Mate, appreciate you, and appreciate you sharing part of your story over a year ago now. And it's been an awesome journey. I look forward to weeks, months to come. We'll get an update off you as well, because I absolutely love what you guys are doing. Hey, I'm going to ask a friend of mine, Mary Kappa. So her screen name's Matthew Kappa, and I've always said that I am the only stewardship pastor. Can I say this, Mary? What you guys are season you're moving into? Yeah, cool. All right. You can maybe say a bit, but I've always been like, gee, I'm the only stewardship pastor I really know around here. Well, Mary, you and Matt are moving to Austin, and he's going to become a stewardship pastor. So I love that. Hey, you've been joining for a good number of months. By the way, quickly tell us what you guys are going to be doing, but also, if that's okay, And yeah, what's sort of been a theme for you or something that's stuck with you since you've been part of these?
Yeah, good morning. It has been a really just great community, I think, of just encouraging everyone and hearing people's stories. And, everybody's got something that they can relate to and what things are said here. And I know I've built some new relationships as well with people like Melinda and just some people you see on the screens that you just have these little DMs with. And that's just going to be a continual support. But Peter Lowe was definitely a highlight for me. Just hearing people like him get on and share their testimony of how their business has been built and how just the Holy Spirit has been so monumental in the steps that he's taken, the doors he's opened for conversations that he's had. And yeah, for our next step, we're going to be moving to America, and Matt's going to be a stewardship pastor and I'm going to be a discipleship pastor. And it's just, the reliance on the Holy Spirit of just even opening doors that have led us to where we're going is just exciting. Yeah.
So cool. So cool. And yeah, really excited for everything that's ahead for you guys. And yeah, thanks for being a great part of this. Hopefully you can occasionally jump in and say hi from Austin, which is so cool. Yeah, appreciate you, Mary. And Liam Glover up at Greater Springfield. I a lot of appreciation for Liam. He always makes a huge effort just to engage and encourage and be part of it. And Liam, you've been here pretty much day one as well, mate. What about for yourself?
Thanks, Dan. So one of the things I really treasure is input into my world, and the consistency and the regularity that I'm able to receive input allows me to continue to do the role that I'm doing. My role is a lot of training and teaching, so I'm always having to give. So it's always great to know that there's every 7 days there's a refresh into my spirit, spiritually, from a business context as well, and just relationally. So I really appreciate the regularity or the rhythm of having this connection point and input into my life. Allows me to give generously, knowing that I will also be receiving. Yeah.
Love it, mate. Thank you, and thanks for just constantly being as I said, such a great source of just encouragement and consistency. Really appreciate you, and I know the team at Greater Springfield does too, by the way. So I was going to throw to Jane Rays. Hi, Jane. Sorry. And what about you? You've been a staple, to be honest. You've been such a great part of it, and sorry to just throw you on the spot, but yeah, what about yourself?
I think what's already been mentioned is the presence of the Holy Spirit in everybody's story when they're talking about setting up, when they're talking about challenges, when they're talking about future plans, when they're talking about every aspect of their lives, and particularly, of course, their business lives. No one has left out God. No one has left out God and his role in everything. And that's what really speaks to me.
Love that. It's so true. Hey, I think I can honestly say for myself, you come to something like this that's a bit more of a business forum. My biggest takeaway has been that I have become more devoted to my relationship with Jesus. I think that's somewhat of a surprising outcome. You come to things like this, expecting to be equipped, which I am, but I think that would be my look. You can't get better than that, right? So yeah, but no, I appreciate you, Jane. Thank you. All right. Well, look, obviously, little bit of reflection on days gone by, sessions gone by, but very much, as always, part of a church that's looking forward, and definitely looking forward. A couple of things I wanted to mention quickly was just some of the things we are going to be looking at doing moving forward. Something we'd love to do is look at how we're building campus-based community around these meetings. A lot of people have reached out, and it would be, some of you would have been among them that have reached out and said, look, we love this. We love the opportunity to tune in and gather, but, we want to be boots on the ground with some people. So as we move forward, look, I'm not sort of going to spend too much time detailing a strategy or a plan on here, but would love to just start to rally around, locally at campuses and give ownership to campuses. I mentioned it a few times, but we have a great Newcastle contingent that's part of this Connect, and they really just, there's a point person, John, that just helps pull them together, and they get together periodically. They often watch together. I'll get in a boardroom and watch this, and then pray, discuss things, encourage each other around that. So we'd love to, look at essentially having point people, that can just be a gatherers, essentially people that maybe have the time and the passion to just gather in local campuses. So we'll reach out, we'll sort of work through campus pastors, but if you do have a heart for that, feel free just to speak to me. And I'm not promising every idea, but just, we can totally enable, but we'll do our best to try and stimulate a bit of activity at local campuses. I think that's going to be really important, especially as we move out of just being digital and get to gather again. And look, not thinking one or the other, thinking both and I think there's a great place for that. One other thing I was going to mention is we're going to look to create sort of guilds, if I could call it that, start to just give people connection within different industries. So, there might be sort of IT, or there might be a lot of guys here construction based, and periodically maybe doing things specifically in cities, so Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, that just gather people together from different specific industries, have the chance just to have dinner, maybe just meet some people in your same industry. Sometimes it's a shared challenge. You can sometimes bond in that. I know, speaking to another builder, there's things only we uniquely understand that are challenges to us, and there's a bit of a bonding or galvanizing together in that, and as well just sharing connections. So looking to be doing that, and we'll send info about how we can get involved. And other thing I mentioned last week, and I think this is going to get a lot of momentum, this idea is about really helping people launch into business, or even launch into new career endeavors, and looking at how we really I guess got a lot of people that are keen to help with that, a lot of seasoned people, people that have a lot to give and are keen, really eager to give. We're going to look at where young people, or by the way, sorry, I shouldn't just say young people of any age that are starting endeavors can basically put in an application just to be part of a 3-4 month program where we put you in small group setting, really come alongside you, look at how we bring practical support around you, and just launch you at the best that we can. I mean, all of us that have been in business, there's things we wish we knew, and if only we sort of had proximity to people to maybe tell us some of the things, and by the way, not just for people starting businesses, people starting new endeavors, whether it's a career jump or whether you're just getting started in your career, or whatever space you might be operating in, we want to make that available. So just stay tuned, just some stuff, I guess, to flag, put on the radar, let you know that we're definitely look into, this isn't going anywhere, but we're looking to build off this. And last notable mention will be what we're doing with some of the girls as well. We've had a really eager core team of girls. Obviously, we did a gathering in Sydney that Amanda and some of the guys really helped lead. We did that at our Macquarie campus a number of months ago. We were looking to do something right about now, but COVID messed with our plans. But there's been a lot of interest in that space. And if any of, I know I've just rattled off a few things, and something may have connected with you, and sometimes people send me personal messages in the chat, which I try and get to, but always just reach out. You've got my mobile or email, or if you don't, probably someone will have it. Just reach out. I'm happy to happy to just keep working and moving forward. But look, as a bit of a theme this morning, I'd asked, there's going to be 3 people sharing in different capacities, and really wanted to speak about, look, how do we move forward? How do we not rest on our laurels? How do we just keep pushing forward, I guess, even, in the midst of things like brain fog, or maybe just the unknown? How do we really just navigate forward in life, in business, in generosity, which is a key theme? The first person I might ask to share is Andrew Denton, who's no stranger, who doesn't need much of an introduction. But Andrew mentioned before, I think at least a couple of guys from our New York campus have joined. He's been meeting with some of our Kingdom builders in Hillsong, New York, which is very exciting. And I think I saw someone there, right, welcome to America for Mary before. I'm assuming that was someone from New York, so huge welcome to you. I'm just scrolling to see if I could catch your name again. The chat moved past that though. But Andrew, throw to you, mate. Look, you are obviously, you are such a blessing. I'd love to hear from you just times in your life and your business where you're someone that definitely hasn't rested on your laurels. You could be just kicking back, relaxing, but you are, fired up, ready to go. I might, if you could just share with us a little bit, and I might even probe a couple of questions at the end of what you have to say.
Hey, thanks, Dan. I actually believe that a calling is who you are. This is not necessarily about being a business person or anything, you know. And so when you have a calling, well, there's no walking away from that. You know, I know my calling, you know, is to finance the kingdom. And so I believe it's actually be selfish of me to walk away from something for my own benefit and leisure. You know, I worked out a long time ago that more people, you know, that I can help, the more people that I can help to realize that their calling also is to finance the kingdom, then we will raise way more money than obviously I can just give myself. But has that been easy? No, no, it actually hasn't been easy. And as a lot of you may know, up until, you know, COVID, I spent probably at least 75% of my time traveling. Now, I know some of you out there think that traveling is glamorous, but that's only the ones who haven't done it. Okay. When you're away from home, minimum 2-3 weeks at a time, living out of a suitcase, you know, planes, trains, automobiles, you know, it's actually quite draining, and it's not as much fun as you may think it is. You know, when COVID hit and I had all these appointments around the world, because some of them, you know, I'm booked out 18 months ahead and I could no longer get to them, I don't mind admitting that my first thought was, fantastic, I get to stay home. I've done enough. Surely I deserve a rest. But I still remember very quickly churches asking me if I would Zoom with them at 3 and 4 a.m. in the morning, and really realizing that calling has nothing to do with convenience or ease. But the real point was that I really knew too much, and to keep it to myself, well, that was just going to be selfish. And it's really what drove me then to write my book. And now, was that easy? No, it wasn't easy at all. It wasn't cheap either. Very difficult. A lot of work into translating it to 7 languages too, I can tell you. Someone asked me once, "Did you just do that through Google Translate?" You know, no. But can I tell you, the demand from churches all over the world has not slowed down. In fact, it's got bigger. And once again, I could easily just say, sorry, I can't do anything about it. It would make my life a whole lot easier. But in the last 6 months, I've been working on a launch pack and a study guide to go with the book, and involves 5 videos and whole, you know, workbooks. And once again, I'm believing that this launch pack will help to impact more churches, potential, obviously, kingdom builders than I could meet personally in 10 lifetimes. But I've had to keep doing it. Same can be said for my business. You know, I'm in a position today that if I could just sell up and retire and live comfortably, surf every day and play with my grandkids. But once again, I know too much. And I personally have got more to achieve for the kingdom, way more to achieve yet for the kingdom and my family. And so that's why I'm still actively, you know, investing in my business and still actively taking calculated risks. I can tell you that. It's funny, you know, yesterday afternoon I was, you know, looking after our grandkids. We look after our grandkids typically on a Wednesday and Thursday. Mind you, I've got one of my families living with me at the moment, so I look after my grandkids all the time. But we're watching one of our granddaughters just riding her little electric trike around our tennis court yesterday, you know, without a care in the world. And Susan said to us, and she said, how blessed is this little girl to have wealthy grandparents that can give her that life. Now, I don't say that to boast, but I say it to remind you that this is not about you and me. This is not about you and me. This is about the generations to come. And I believe we have an obligation to show them the way, really do. So my challenge to people is don't settle down. Don't retire, okay? Don't retire. I don't ever intend to retire. Don't quit. God's plans for your lives, I believe, is above and beyond anything you can ask, think, or imagine. Keep going. There's much to do. Thanks, Dan.
Gee, love that, Andrew. I mean, yeah, I absolutely love that. Calling has nothing to do with convenience or ease. And look, you definitely epitomise that. Something I love about you is anytime any of us from church ask if you'll be involved in something. I mean, I've asked you to, I mean, you know, it's one thing you're speaking to 118 people this morning, but I've asked you to come and speak to groups of 4. And I'm not talking 4 leaders, 4 just church members that are learning how to budget, and you'll do it willingly. And I think for me, you've never had a sense of entitlement with that type of stuff. And you know, obviously we're trying to be very respectful of your time, and you know, we don't, you know, that's something that's on our end. We try and facilitate. But yeah, I love it. It's that was so challenging. A couple of comments I saw in the chat there that stood out to me as well. I saw David Herring wrote, calling is who we are. You know, he said a job's what we do, but a calling is who we are. And I love Jess Martin actually wrote, she said, you can't unsee what you've seen sometimes. And I think just when you see the impact, when you see the need, when you see, even when you get a taste of your calling, I think it's, you know, you can't really undo that. It's you're in for life. So no, thank you for the example you constantly live, and I know everyone on here deeply appreciates you, Andrew. Yeah.
Thank you.
But by the way, I'm sure it's good fun having Jono and Kimmy living with you at the moment with the kids as well. So
no, it's great. It is. It's good. And they have bought another house, so they are moving out. So
there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and they're just moving down the road. So best of both worlds, I guess, which is great.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. Hey, next person I was going to throw to is someone I get a lot out of what this person is sharing, often through their social media, things like that. We did meet her a few weeks ago, and Shannon, it was kind of funny because I introduced you to the group, and then right after I introduced you, I found out you had just come into a collaboration with Pixar, which is no, you know, it's no small deal. And you just kind of casually introduced yourself and told us a little bit about yourself. You just missed over that minor detail, probably because you weren't wanting to brag or anything, but I'm just going to brag on behalf of you. So do you want to pop off mute so people can see you again? And first of all, tell us about this thing with Pixar that you did.
Yeah, so it was really left of center actually. So I run a kids membership site. So it's run in a way that it's online so parents can actually do it for themselves. And so we've got resources, and basically parents log in, they can access everything. It's like a done for you process. But Pixar, Disney Pixar reached out, I think maybe about 2 months ago now. They have released a movie called Luca, which if you haven't seen it, it's actually the loveliest movie. It's all about a sea monster growing up in Italy, wanting to live on the land, etc. And so they reached out, and because the film was based in Italy and we run a foreign language program, they wanted us to be able to share and promote the movie and actually work with our community to be able to get the word out about it. And so we basically co-created a product where we, using clips and exclusive kind of areas within the movie, we were able to create a resource to be able to give to their community and ours, a way to be able to introduce the Italian language through the eyes of the movie Luca. So yeah, it was one of those pinch me moments, but we were so busy trying to get it to life because it was all happening in lockdown, homeschooling kids, just trying to, you know, keep our heads above water. So incredible opportunity, but also just like trying to catch your breath at every moment. So I don't even realize if it feels real yet, just because we're just trying to exhale post. So yeah.
Wow, yeah, quite incredible. Look, right at the start when you started to share there, we lost sound a little bit. So I was sort of like, oh, and then you came back. So we didn't miss anything crucial, I think. But just letting you know, you might need to kick Gabe off the internet. No, you're good. I think we're smooth. But hey, you have a lot. I mean, you are just an absolute wealth of knowledge, of resource, of passion. And I love a lot of your messaging is around, I guess I don't want to try and put words, I always get awkward trying to explain what someone's message is, but I love how you really speak towards people maximizing, not necessarily just, okay, you want more, go work more hours. We're limited to hours in the week, but I love a lot of what I glean from you is, hey, we're going to optimize what we do have, and we're going to do more with less and enable us to do more, not so we can do less, but so that we can do more. But something you were sharing a bit of stuff, particularly I guess geared towards helping people navigate through this season, lockdown, COVID, just getting through stuff like brain fog. And I thought it would be great if you could just share with us and help us practically this morning, as all of us were navigating this season in some way or capacity. So I might just hand over to you and take a bit of time just to input into us. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, well, look, I personally have had to really wrestle with this. So a lot of what I focus on in my business is working around building an anti-hustle business, not trying to hustle our way through life. But in this season, often, like right now, I'm finding myself homeschooling. I'm juggling 2 businesses. I'm trying to be a good friend to make sure my friends are doing okay. I'm trying to be a good wife, parent. I'm trying to be a good Christian. Like, it's just been a lot of output and a lot of to do and a lot of digital. And so like I feel like everybody's in this space, whether you're in lockdown right now or whether you are in Queensland or Western Australia, you actually have a bit of normal, but the season has been really different for many. And so nothing really illustrates this story and this season more than a story that I had with my daughter a couple of weeks ago. We're homeschooling at home. She has service tasks that she has to do as part of her school curriculum. So she's got to do something for somebody else. And so she wrote this letter to her, to one of her friends. It was like a physical letter she had to write to encourage them to just bring some life and joy back into their world. And she's like, Mum, I finished my service letter. Can you post this for me? I'm like, yeah, totally. Put this letter at the keys table. And I'm going to post this really, really soon. And what I realized was a week and a half later, the letter was still on my keys table. She'd asked me 4 times to be able to post it. And it wasn't done, not because I didn't want to, but just because my brain was so full with things to do, things to try and prioritize. And I just kept forgetting about it. And so really to understand how I even ended up here was the fact that lockdown, we're working lots. I'm trying to work at night times now. And the problem with that is we actually don't have any rest time for our brains. And so there have been a couple of things that I've actually done that's actually made a really big difference in really reclaiming back that brain fog and getting that focus back. And I'll really dash quickly through it all. But first things first, I've really had to get intentional about how I structure my days. So I've created, I've got like a planner. I call it the Purposeful Planner. And the whole idea is that the very start of my day, I do it with my kids with their homeschooling. I do it with my day in my business. It's where I sit down and I write down, what are my priorities for the day? It's not my to-do list. It's not my task list. It's not my calendar. It works in conjunction with my calendar. But what it does is it helps me actually see what's the most important things. What are the 3 most important things? It's not digital, which means my head isn't sitting on a screen trying to work it out, getting overwhelmed by emails and messages and notifications. But what it does is it helps me to actually work out not what needs to get done, but what actually should get at the top of that list. The second thing I've tried to be really intentional about right now is the environment that I'm in. At the morning when I wake up, the first 15 minutes is one of the most important minutes of the day. It sets your day up for a win. So we don't sleep with phones in our bedrooms. The first 15 minutes, we actually try and get up, read our Bible, actually get some solid input before we start to have to output and switch our brains onto all of the distractions that are chasing us. So we do that. Gabe and I have coffee on the porch every morning from 6:30 till 7 normally. And it just means that we're good as well. Then we start the day with music. So when my kids come downstairs, we put worship on in the background. So we're really trying to create an atmosphere that's positive, that's beautiful, that reminds us of actually what is true and what grounds us for the day, etc. And then one of the big things that I found that's actually helped me really reclaim a lot of that brain fog and get that focus back into place is classical music. And we were chatting about that last week. I put classical music on as like a sneaky tool for my kids. They don't realize I'm doing it. But what I've discovered is that classical music, there's a study from Stanford University, and they talk about how classical music has this impact on your brain where it's like, it de-stresses your brain and anxiety. But what it also does, it's like a massage for your brain. So it unwinds. But what it also does is it helps with your focus. So if you are, you could be at work in the office, you could be at home trying to juggle all the things, put classical music on and you'll actually be amazed at just a little of how you actually are a lot more relaxed and how you can actually focus so much more on it. So if you've got brain fog, that is a really, really big one. And thirdly, I also want to encourage you, take regular breaks. I know that this is, everyone says, go for a walk, have a break. But what I want to say in terms of how to actually get that headspace back is go for a walk, but don't take your device with you. Don't put a podcast in. Don't go for a walking meeting. I mean, these are all really good things. But in a season where we are so overloaded with digital, with noise, with, there's no escape right now from it. What I find has been some of the most important things for me personally is actually going for a walk and actually just being in nature, being still, letting God speak, because it's the silence that you actually hear, that still small voice. Whether you're at home with young kids, the noise is nonstop. Whether you're older, oftentimes there's more demand because people want from you and they want the wealth and your knowledge. It's so important to actually be intentional about how you're actually engaging in your day and unwinding, observing in nature, being still as you go for a walk and actually waiting on the things of God. And so I think in this season, I find that there's definitely a pull to try and do more to make up for the lack of time that we have. But the thing I've discovered more than ever in this season is sometimes the best way to speed up is to slow down, because it's when when you slow down, this is actually where God speaks. His Holy Spirit gives you strategies that actually help you fast track a season where you may have been trying to do it in your own strength. He actually wants to fast track you, but unless you're actually willing to prioritize that time, you're not going to get that and you're going to wear yourself out in the process. And so all of these, like these 3 tips, whether it's classical music, whether it's, prioritizing your day through a planner, an order, or journaling, or whether it's actually taking a walk, they're actually free, but they're going to cost you. They do cost you in your discipline. They'd cost you in you giving your attention to the right things. But I just know that without a shadow of a doubt, that if you invite God into the process and you see what he can do with your day, we'll actually see an end to this brain fog, and we'll actually get the focus to make sure that this season is one of intention and great purpose. So I hope that's been helpful. Very practical tips that I've found that have really helped me significantly in this season.
Love that. Hey, you should, I don't know if it's possible, you should put your playlist on the chat for people. Yeah, I know you sent it to me last week. If it's possible, do it. But I also saw there who wrote, Anna Fowler wrote such focus music on Spotify, and they have some great classical playlists. I saw as well, just a couple of people commented. Phil Latz wrote, he's been bullet journaling. He said, still to be tested and tried, but it's working for him so far. But I think it's called the Bullet Journal. If you Google that, I'm sure you could find a little bit more info, or maybe Phil, you could pop it on the chat. Aaron Cranford, said he loves it. He's a military guy, so he's highly organised. He wrote he's got his planner right in front of him now, so pretty cool. And Liam Glover, who we heard from earlier, said classical music produces alpha waves in the brain. So I think that's pretty cool. And Amanda wrote there, I think you almost said it word for word, but go slow to go fast. And I think for a lot of us that was a word that was definitely brilliant. Exceptional stuff, Shannon. Thank you. Definitely appreciate you have so much to bring, and you just brought some gold this morning. So thank you.
Thanks, Dan. And
all right, well, bringing us home today, I actually asked, I don't know why, I just get excited when things round to 10s, called the Platinum Connect. And I actually, been number 70, I asked one of my absolute favorite human beings on the planet. And look, he's this guy is just absolute gold. I think if I can say this, I think he's one of the most just sound pastors that our church has. And he is just a delight to know, to glean off. huge influence to Christy and myself. And Christy was leading frontline at Hills, George and Nat were leading frontline in the city campus, and just took us under wing and have just been, doing that ever since pretty much. But I asked George Pingle if he would speak prophetically to this group just to bring us home. And I really said, look, could you, get something from God and just unashamedly go for it. Just speak prophetically into us as a group. And George, you jump on quite regularly actually, and you're part of this, and we love you and appreciate you, mate. But do you want to jump off mute, so if anyone by chance doesn't know who you are, they can see you there?
Very, very good. Here we are. Hello, everybody. So good to be here.
Great to see you. I miss you, man. I miss seeing you in person. I see you on the screen periodically, but can't wait to catch up when we do. But mate, I'm just going to hand to you, George. Bring us home, man.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you for the invite, and thank you for having me. I am here a lot of Thursdays, and I've been inspired by so much of what many of you guys have said, and kind of getting to know some of you just by hearing about your life and what you do, and how you are really seeing the kingdom advance through what you're doing. It is just such an inspiring space. And every single week I'm inviting different people to be part of this space. And so it is very good to see you all. For those of you who don't know, I grew up in Germany and got to Australia at the age of 23 in 2003. And so my wife, Nat, and she's Zimbabwean. And Nat and I have got 3 kids. They are Australian made and German engineered. So the best of both worlds, made in Australia with local and imported ingredients. That's what we like to say. And they are awesome. And they are actually in the Bible. James chapter 1 says, rejoice when you face all kinds of trials and tests. And I think that is my kids, our 3 kids in the Bible, the tests and the trials, especially during lockdown. But we all know, and we all have got our different challenges, but we know that God is gracious in it all. And so this morning, it is just such a joy and a privilege to encourage you. And I have had this scripture on my heart that I'd love to just speak over us this morning. It is Psalm 84, verse 5 to 7. And it says, blessed are those whose strength is in you. I'm pretty sure you say blessed. Yeah, blessed or blessed. You can say both, right? I'm having a German moment. I literally was thinking about this. I'm just going to say blessed. It sounds cool. Are those whose strength is in you, whose hearts are set on pilgrimage, as they pass through the valley of Baca, that is the thirsty valley or the dry valley. They make it a place of springs. The autumn rains also cover it with pools. They go from strength to strength till each appears before God in Zion. The first thing I thought about is this idea of turning a rugged place into livable space. And I couldn't help but think, but that is what Andrew Denton does for a living. So mate, that's you in the Bible right here. But seriously, I think there's so much truth for now in this. And I love that God always has more than one way of bringing his provision into our lives. So on the one hand, we need to know that God will bring rain in his time. So it says here, the autumn rains will cover this dry valley with rains and fill it and cover it with pools. And that rain that comes in the time that God appoints. That rain comes when the rain comes. We can't make it happen. We can't stop it. That rain falls when God says now. And I want to prophesy this over you and over your families, that there is now rain that is coming. Some of you have seen this rain already over the last couple of months, over the last 18 months, you've seen it. And some of you are still waiting for that rain. I want to encourage you to trust the timing of God, because when God says now, this rain is going to fall and nothing will stop it. So why don't you keep opening your heart for it? Why don't you keep expecting it? Why don't you keep proclaiming it? The rain is coming. It is on the way. But then it also says that you and I, those whose hearts are set on pilgrimage, those whose strength is in the Lord, that as you and I, as we pass through the valley of Baca, that we turn it into a place of springs. So there is God's provision, the now provision, the rain that falls when it falls, but then there is you and I making wells, making springs in that place. I think about this idea that this valley, this dry valley, that the place in many ways that we're in right now, a place where the water stopped flowing, a place that feels dry, a place where we're stuck, we're trying to get out of this. We're trying to think about what we just want those restrictions to be gone. We just want to be able to do life normally again. We just want to be able to go about our business again. We want to see our staff, our team again. It's the place that we're in right now, and it feels dry. But I honestly believe that there is a purpose in the now. There is a reason for the now. And I believe that God has called us as believers, as Christians, to be well makers. Because it's when our hearts are set on the future, on Zion, on Jesus, that we're able to carve blessings out of the hardships that we're in right now, that we're able to make water flow where there is none right now. I'm thinking about a friend of ours, Josh Matthew, who started a business with quarantine people in hotel quarantine. And out of nothing, he did something. I'm thinking about Hiro and Yuki, who are also on the Zoom right now, who stretched and took a faith step and believed and prayed, and we prayed with them to be able to purchase a home in Sydney. In Sydney, yes. You know what? For you guys, you didn't just have a win for yourself, but I've spoken to so many other people that are right now encouraged by the win that you had. They're strengthened because of what God did in you. See, when you become a well maker, you don't just make a well for yourself, but you make a well for others as well. You make provision flow for other people as well. And so I want to encourage every single one of us. The well makers, there's two things about them. The well makers, they look forward. Well makers, they have an eternal perspective. See, the reason why they can turn the valley, the dry valley, into a place of springs is because their hearts aren't set there. We don't set our hearts here. We set our hearts on pilgrimage, on what's ahead. We set our hearts on Jesus, who's calling us from the future in that sense. Even though he's with us right now, he's calling us through that place into the promised land. That's why we can see provision right now. And the second thing is that well makers operate in God's strength. God's strength is not something that happens to us automatically. God's strength always comes when we intentionally surrender, when we intentionally say, God, I need you. I know we sing it in every kid's song. There is something about, a mighty God and God's strength. But you know what? We've got to remind ourselves that we still are those kids that need to be intentional about asking for God's strength for the now. So unless we do that, we can't make springs in the dry place. Let's ask for God's strength, God's wisdom, God's ability. And I want to say right now to you guys, it's amazing to think that when we as followers of Jesus walk through the dry place, that the place that is called dry and thirsty actually loses its identity. It's known for being a dry place only until we walk through it, because now it's a place of springs. And I want to say to you, in different people who are people in different industries, different departments, different spaces, some of these spaces are known for all the wrong things. Maybe you work in an industry that is known for corruption. Maybe you work in a department that's known for greed or for striving or for backstabbing. Whatever the space is known for that you're in, I want to tell you right now, because you are passing through it, because you are there, God is going to change the identity of that place. It will no longer be known for that because you are there. God has called us to be redeemers. He's called us to be well makers. And so Dan, if it's okay, I'm just going to pray for everybody. That's all right. Father, I just thank you right now for this amazing group of people. Men and women who are called, destined, not to camp in the place that we're in, not to camp in the dry valley, but to pass through it with our heart set on pilgrimage, with us looking to Jesus. Father, would you use us to carve blessings out of the dryness that we're in? I pray right now, Lord God, that you would make the water flow through every single person here who dares to believe that you would use them for it. Make provision come through the work of our hands, that we're going to see people around us, that we're going to see the spaces around us come to life again. And I thank you that through it, people are going to come to know Jesus. People are going to be liberated and set free from their fears and their insecurities and their anxieties. The people are going to be set free to walk out of their mental health space, because we are called to be well makers. Bring your provision through us, we pray. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, George. Sensational, mate. That was a word in season. I actually saw Junior wrote, he was just reading that, that scripture you shared from this morning, which, Junior, that's definitely a word for you. And Irene, who's also, had a big week, seen some amazing breakthrough, was commenting there too. So I know that blessed a lot of people. So thank you. And guys, we are right on time. So going to wish you all the best. Can't wait to see you in church, even though it'll be online. Still look forward to seeing you and seeing you participating in any way you can. But next week, we're going to be hearing from a seasoned, very humble, godly businessman who I'm really excited about. But in between that, we definitely will see you around. Let us know if we can do anything for you, praying for you. Love you. Be blessed. Take care. And thank you, guys, everyone that shared today.
Hey, thank you, Shannon. That was so good. Great practical input. I think the people love great practical input. And George, you messed us up, mate. It was awesome. So good. So good. So good, man. I took lots of notes and I may have shed some tears. Have a great day, guys. Bless you.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate what you brought. Sensational.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Dan.
Hey, Dan, super excited with those new initiatives. Like I'm saying, when I was starting off, the only way I could get business help growing up was secular, and so to have something you're building here where you can get some further business support is just like, it brings a tear to my eye, mate. I had a lot of years feeling alone and wondering if I wasn't a good Christian, so, just say thank you, mate, and super excited.
I can't wait, mate. Can't wait to